So when I was young in high school, I um, decided to kind of study Japanese in high school. And as a little kid, um, I remember reading a story about Japan and about the atomic bombing in Hiroshima. And it was about a girl who had radiation poisoning and got leukemia from the atomic bombing. Her name is Sadako, and she decided to make it a goal of hers to fold 1,000 paper cranes in origami cranes. And so after before she passed, she was able to get almost to 1,000, like around 930. But after she had passed, they decided to build a memorial in her honor, and for her and the children that had passed during the bombing. So I decided as a kid, I want to go there. I want to go to this, place, and I want to see this memorial. So the opportunity came up by in middle school. So I decided to go to a business and foreign language academy in Streamwood High School, where I graduated, and I was able to go to Japan and see the memorial and be where I dreamed of being. And it was, it was a lot of money to get there, and I had to take a part-time job, and my dad did help me a bit, and so yeah, that was one big accomplishment that I had, and I'll always remember that. Yeah.
So going to Japan at 17, like what do you feel like you learned from being in such a different place?
Well, aside from Japanese language and culture, like it really gave me a good perspective on my belief system, because Japan is a syncretic, has a syncretic faith, which just means they combine different faiths together. So they combine Buddhism and their own traditional religion, Shintoism, and even like Christian beliefs. And so I felt like this, it was really, it fit how I saw the world, and so that really stood out to me, and it made me more closer with the culture. And so I continue to surround myself in Japanese culture, with books and movies and music and all sorts of things. But yeah.
Wow. And in terms, speaking of kind of not as far, but far off places, have you been to Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
And what do you feel like is your kind of relationship with the island right now?
So right now, like, I was very apprehensive to go to Puerto Rico as a trans person, because in the news there have been murders of trans women, and so that scared me. Just on the news, there was I want to say like maybe a year or so back, a homeless trans woman was murdered. Two young trans women in their 20s were murdered. They assaulted them and then set their car on fire and burned them alive. So it was very, I'm in this transition, and it was just very hard for me to, I was like, am I ever going to go to Puerto Rico? Am I going to go back? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. So this year I went, this January I went to see my grandma. And so, and I was a bit surprised, because nobody really cared. And so, and maybe it was just this particular part of where I'm from, but nobody really bothered me. And not to say that it will never happen, but it gave me a little bit more of a positive outlook. Like, you know what, just take the shackles off, and you can just, move, and you can, be where your family's from, where your ancestors are from. And so, yeah.